Okay, let's try another battle with the same team, the Hyper Offense team. And I'm paired off against Breton. His team, Politoed, Breloom, Mamoswine, Bronzong, Keldeo, and Toxicroak. Okay, he's probably expecting me of starting off with Rotom Wash since he has a Politoed. So he's probably gonna go with Breloom lead. If he does so, I have Azelf that can taunt, and I also want to get up a quick Stealth Rock, so I'm gonna send in Azelf as my lead. I'm just gonna go for the quick Stealth Rock here. He goes for the Hydro Pump. Okay, doesn't really matter much. Azelf served its purpose. He doesn't have a spinner, so Stealth Rock will be there. I'm gonna Spore now. I know Politoed is slow because Azelf outsped it, so it doesn't have Choice Scarf. So he's gonna let his Politoed sleep. Okay, now I'm gonna Focus Punch. Anything he switches out to is gonna take a big hit from Focus Punch. And his only Pokemon that resists the fighting attack, Toxicroak, took a well. Did 66%. I'm gonna switch out to Scizor. He Drain Punches. Okay. I'm gonna go for Bullet Punch. He is probably gonna switch, and the only Pokemon that resists Steel type attacks is his own Steel type Bronzong. So that's why he switched to that, and he's gonna probably use this opportunity to set up Stealth Rock. So I'm gonna go to Rotom Wash. And he does set up his Stealth Rock. This time, I'm gonna go for the Will-O-Wisp because none of his Pokemon takes that Will-O-Wisp well. And he's probably gonna switch out to like Breloom on the Rotom Wash's Volt Switch or Mamoswine to resist it. But probably not Mamoswine because Mamoswine can't do anything to Rotom Wash. So he's in trouble right now against this Rotom Wash. His team looks pretty weak to it. So he does stay in, takes the Will-O-Wisp. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep using Will-O-Wisp, force him to do something, force him to switch out, because Bronzong is not going to do anything. So that's why he does switches out to Keldeo. And, he's probably going to use Secret Sword or something. Not too familiar with Keldeo. Don't have a safe switch out, so I'm going to go for Volt Switch. He goes for Hydro Pump. May have done quite enough damage with Rain, but Rotom Wash is a water type, so it wouldn't have OKO'd the Rotom Wash. So this time I'm going to switch out to now. If I switch to Breloom, he's going to send in his Toxicroak. Keldeo's going to die off because of the Will-O-Wisp burn, as it's only at 4% health. So I don't want to go with Breloom. If I go with Lucario, he's gonna probably send in his Breloom to Mach Punch. If not Toxicroak. Toxicroak does well off against Lucario, so I don't want to send in Lucario. Scizor, he's gonna probably send in maybe Breloom, because Mamoswine and Bronzong are not gonna be able to take Scizor well, so I'm gonna force him to do that. Send in Scizor, force him to think right now. And he's probably thinking, and he's probably gonna come off with his best answer as Breloom. So if not Toxicroak, who is probably gonna take a Bullet Punch well, and with the Drain Punch, he would have taken it out because it is a Life Orb Toxicroak. So yeah, he does go with Breloom as I've expected, and I can switch to Dragonite, which has a Lumberry. And he does also wall my Dragonite with his Mamoswine and Bronzong, so Dragonite's not gonna do much. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna switch out to Dragon Knight, take the Spore, Lumberry helps out, and this time I'm gonna Outrage. He doesn't want to switch out. He probably doesn't want me to set up Dragon Dance, so that's why I stayed in. But it doesn't matter. I took out a big threat, which was Breloom, and he finishes my Dragon Knight off with Ice Shards. Doesn't matter. Dragon Knight wouldn't have done much against Bronzong anyways. So now I'm going to switch to Rotomosh, which does really well against Mamoswine with its Levitate ability and its Ice resistance. So Hydro Pump will hit any of his Pokemon really well. His Politoed is sleeping, Bronzong is burned, so he's in trouble. But Hydro Pump misses and he substitutes, so that's unfortunate for me. But Hydro Pump hit this time, but he went for the superpower. Did quite a lot of damage, but it's not gonna do 51% again because the attack fell after using that superpower. That's why I only did 39% this time. And now he's probably gonna want to finish off my Rotom Wash. But should I allow him to do that? Let's see. Hmm. Because I might need Rotom Wash for his Bronzong as it completely walls it. So if I switch to something like Breloom and take a Drain Punch, he's gonna heal off a lot of damage. I don't want him to do that. I'm gonna stay in, as I don't want him to heal off my damage from Drain Punch. That's why I'm not gonna switch. He goes for the Ice Punch, okay. He probably should have used Drain Punch. Maybe expected me of switching to Breloom. In that case, I'm not gonna send in Scizor and Bullet Punch away. It may be able to OHKO his Toxicroak since it's not bulky enough and it has Life Orb. He switches back to Bronzong. Doesn't matter. It's burned. None of its attacks are gonna do much. I'm gonna go to my Breloom. He expects that switch and switches back to his Toxicroak. Okay, that was a pretty smart play on his part. Don't want to take a Drain Punch on any of my switches. I might be able to take an Ice Punch, so I'm gonna go for the Bullet Seed. He goes for Drain Punch, and Bullet Seed is gonna do quite a nice amount of damage. And I'm gonna Mach Punch to do a bit more damage. And now he's at 27% health. If I send in my Scizor and Bullet Punch, he's gonna go to his Bronzong. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go with Lucario here. Use Extreme Speed. No, should I? I'm afraid that it might be Jolly. I don't want to take that risk. But it doesn't matter because if he does switch to Bronzong, then Extreme Speed, Burn Damage, and then Close Combat would finish it off anyways. So that's why he stays in. What I could do right now is I could switch to Scizor, let Bronzong take a burn damage, and then switch back to Lucario, and then finish him off with Close Combat. But I'm afraid that I might not have enough power to finish him off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Close Combat, hoping it takes it out. It does take it out. Did the 49% damage. And that's game. Good game. That's a pretty good game. He did make a nice prediction on that double switch. The topic for this video discussion question is weather. Credit to Yilks for the art. Weather in Gen 5 OU has always been a topic of interest and controversy. Do you think weatherless teams that do not utilize a form of weather such as rain, sandstorm, or hail, are viable and can be just as good as any team that uses weather? Or do you think that weather in the current metagame is a crucial aspect for any successful team to carry? In other words, Do you need a weather supporter on your team to be successful? Or are teams that lack weather just as good as any other team? I have written an article for the Smog on this weatherless team debate and have also peaked number one ranking on PO server with the weatherless team while live recording it. Links to these are displayed in the video description if anyone's interested. But this was over a year ago. The metagame has changed a significant deal. So what's your take on this debate regarding the current metagame? Discuss.